Everyone, this isn't the fun project I was talking about that I'll be uploading. That will be worked on soon. I haven't done it before, but I have other people helping me with that. So that's probably going to be uploaded next week. I really don't know. It's something that I haven't done before. Today I just wanted to talk about the electronics of a motherboard and talk about the basics. We talk about the advanced stuff later, but we want to do the basics for now. I want to talk about the semiconductors, resistors, the transistors, and the thermistors. These are very common components in any electrical device, and we will talk about that right now. Semiconductors, as the name implies, are half insulators and half conductors. Resistors are what restricts current or controls current in a circuit. The thermistors are what are kind of like resistors, but they are thermally controlled, which means that if they get hot, they will restrict current on a circuit. Then we got the transistors. Now, transistors are most notably to be in the CPU, or the processor, or the brain of the computer. These transistors amplify a current so they're the opposite of resistors. For example, well, actually I shouldn't say for example, I should say in this example on this motherboard, behind here, this is where the CPU is behind here, behind this heatsink that's aluminum. Behind there, that's the processor. This particular Pentium 4 has 55 million transistors. Compare that to the i7 Extreme processors, the newest ones, and it would be 731 million. So 55 million and 731 million transistors in a processor. Next thing I want to talk about are the capacitors. These are these little round things you see around here. These are capacitors. All this is capacitors. Capacitors store energy. Some capacitors, depending on what they're used for, they can hold energy for a couple minutes, for a few hours, even a few days, and possibly even a week on some of these computers that they got. Well, not on the motherboard. They're generally those ones that can last 3 to a week, or in the power supply. But we aren't going to talk about the power supply in this episode. Capacitors, despite their smallness, they can really shock you. This one right here, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can focus on this. Okay, this one, you can see it's kind of bulging. You see the orange stuff coming out of it, just a little bit. That is electrolyte, and that is what helps the electrons move around, you know. So those are capacitors, and just because these are smaller doesn't mean that they don't hold less charge than these big ones, because that's not true. And in this case, this one doesn't cause any problems as that I can see. But if you have a capacitor that is bulging, some of them don't bulge. They have a courtesy to have physical damage, but well, sometimes they won't. So don't always think that your computer has bad capacitors or good capacitors. If something, you know what I'm trying to say. A capacitor could be bad even if it doesn't look like it's bad. So, and bad capacitors can mimic many hardware failures, like bad memory, CPU failing, graphics cards failing, anything. Bad capacitors can mimic these hardware failures and act erratically. I've seen it. It just gets crazy sometimes. Also, thermistors. They're located back here. In case they're used for like I said, if there was like a surge, then it would restrict, which would heat up the thermistors, which would restrict the current to the your devices, your external devices, so they don't get damaged. But don't put all your faith in those thermistors. They're located on back ports, I meant to say, right there. But like I said, this is the most important video. I think I said that earlier, but if I didn't, this is part 1 of this, and part 2 are the most important videos that I've done in this series so far, and probably the most advanced that I will talk about in the, I can't really think right now. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about that and give you some idea. Next video will be about motherboard safety. I know safety, that ain't fun, but trust me, it's important to know. So now that all that's over with, I think it's safe to say that this video is over. So goodbye, YouTube.